Hey everyone, I'm Pam and this is my monthly update video letting you know everything that I was up to in the month of October. So starting out with updates, as I did last year for my birthday month of October, I've been fundraising over on Twitch for the past month. This year I've been fundraising for a charity called True North Aid, which is Canadian. It provides practical humanitarian support to Northern Indigenous communities in the form of supplies and food and resources for their communities. Sadly, we're not quite near the goal that I had set of $2,000. I think it's around $1,050 right now. I'll be wrapping up the fundraiser in a few days, but if you haven't had a chance to donate, I will leave the link in the description below, and I would greatly appreciate anything that you can put towards that good cause. Also, my new podcast, Point and Drink Adventure with my friend Michelle, has released episodes 2 and 3 over October. In one, we talked about Loire Valley red wine with some sexy video games, and in the one recently that just came out today as I'm recording this on Halloween, we talked about Portuguese red wine and some spooky movies and games that we've been imbibing in recently, so go check out those. You can see them on YouTube or on your podcast app of choice. I really suggest the YouTube version. Michelle puts a lot of work into like little inserts and things that make the video more interesting to watch. But either way, check out the podcast. Please go subscribe to the Point and Drink Adventure channel as well so you can see when new episodes come out. Now on to pickups. As I mentioned, it was my birthday at the beginning of the month and I got a couple cool gifts. The first thing I'm wearing right now, it's my Felix the Cat t-shirt with this little magic bag here, which is amazing. I love it. And I also got a Felix the Cat issue of Nintendo Power, which I always look at this. Every time I've seen it at like a swap or anything, I was like, oh, look at that Felix magazine. But yes, got this cool Felix thing. It's got like a whole little spread on it inside the actual magazine. So yeah, really awesome birthday presents to get. I also got myself a few things. First, a new vinyl to add to the collection. It is Jurassic Park. You know, I can't resist buying Jurassic Park stuff sometimes. This has the soundtrack to Jurassic Park on both NES and Super Nintendo. Here's the back of it here. I really like the Super Nintendo soundtrack. The NES one, I'm actually not particularly familiar with the NES game, and the soundtrack on the NES is just okay, but it's worth it for the Super Nintendo soundtrack. It's got this cool sort of pinwheel blue and white print as well, and it comes with this really nice little booklet that goes over both the games and how they were made and the various levels and the various Jurassic Park games that have released, which is pretty cool. So happy to have this one in my vinyl collection, which is getting too big. I actually need more storage space for all the vinyl that I've been getting. I also got a couple new Xbox controllers. After I was talking to Michelle in one of our recent podcasts, she had just gotten the sort of the custom controller, and it got me looking at Xbox controllers again. So this one just came out. It's the Lunar Shift, which is kind of like a smooth metallic finish. It's really beautiful. I saw it announced and I was like, all right, I'm gonna treat myself, get myself a little late birthday present, and really nice. Not going to use this one to play Dark Souls. Have to have a little note to self to not do that. And then, somewhat surprisingly, someone from Atlas reached out to me about Persona games coming to Xbox and asked if they could send me a little gift in celebration of that. And they sent me a Persona 5 Xbox controller and a charging station, which was an amazing gift. A lot of the times when people ask to send me things, I'm like, I don't know, I might not like it, but I had a good feeling about this, and like, I can always use more Xbox controllers. I love them. And I've never had a charging station before, so this will also save me money on batteries. So that was really nice. Wasn't expecting to be getting 2 new Xbox controllers, but definitely appreciate this. Thank you, Atlas. So as far as games go, especially games that I've completed, there's not that many. October just ended up being a really busy month, just doing a bunch of other stuff, and I found that I wasn't playing as many video games as usual, but I did finish a few things. The first game is called Beacon Pines. This just came out probably in September, maybe. It is on Game Pass, probably on other systems as well. And this is a cute sort of visual novel adventure game. It takes place in a storybook, so you're sort of being read a story and then you control the main character as they're going through this little adventure. And first of all, it's absolutely beautiful. Like, the artwork, the characters are just so well done. I love the artwork in it. It also sort of looks like you're on a page with sort of like fuzzy edges around the side on each environment. Just really nice. And it's a story about a character in a small town, and you realize something weird is going on. But it has a cool twist in that as you go, you find these cards, they might be called something else, with words on them, like angry or fight or shit, or a lot of different things, and you'll be faced with choices at different points in the game, and you can use these cards to sort of determine how your character is going to respond, and then it sends the story down one particular path. Usually, for a while, that path leads to a dead end, and then you rewind and you use a different word and you go down a different story. So it sort of just branches like a tree all the way through. And it was really cool. I really liked the story. As I said, it was absolutely beautiful. I don't remember how long it was, maybe around 5 hours, so not too long. If you like those kind of visual novels, sort of like with a little twist, I recommend that one. The next thing I finished was Portal 2 in co-op mode. I played through that with a friend over a number of weeks, and the Portal games are just so good. The puzzles are just like some of the best puzzles. After finishing that, I was like looking like, what's another game like this that I can play co-op? And people gave some suggestions, and some of them are pretty good, and I do want to check them out, but I don't know, nothing really seems good as Portal somehow. I just love GLaDOS and how snarky she is and how she sort of tries to pit the characters against each other, and just the general dark humor of the series. I love how the game is structured in a way where you're learning like mechanics sort of one at a time, and as you go you're like combining them all into one and trying to figure out exactly which kind of strategies are going to work for each puzzle, and then once you get to the final level, you're kind of on your own in terms of exactly what you need to do in order to progress. And yeah, Portal 2, amazing. If you like playing co-op games, either couch co-op or online co-op, and you haven't played it, it's a huge recommend for me. Just really satisfying and fun to play. But wait, there are more co-op games. My Wednesday night group just finished playing Tiny Tina's Wonderlands, which is sort of a spin-off of the Borderlands series. The conceit is that Tiny Tina is like a dungeon master, and she's building this D&D campaign, except it's not called D&D, it's called something else that I can't remember the name of right now. What is it called? Bunkers and Badasses, that's what it's called. I had to look it up. I knew it was going to drive me crazy. So you all make your characters, and she's taking you through this story. But in terms of gameplay, it's mostly just like Borderlands, where you're shooting lots of enemies and getting way too much gear, an annoying amount of gear. I thought the game was good. Like, I liked the Tiny Tina stuff. The voice acting was really good. Ashley Birch is great as usual. What's his face? Jake Peralta, Wanda Sykes were both in it. Job from Arrested Development, like they did really well. Occasionally, the chatter would go on for a little too long, and everyone was like, all right, wrap it up, let me go shoot some more baddies in the face. But it was decent to play. My biggest problem was just the design in terms of, sorry, I'm making room for Lily, who's apparently gonna come up here. Okay, now I have a dog in my lap. So it's structured in a way where you can't fast travel if anyone has their menu open in any capacity, whether that's to use skill points or to look at your inventory. So we kind of had to make rules for ourselves where we were only allowed to open our menus in certain times just to sort of keep the pace up. We started, kind of wanting to just get to the end of it after a few sessions, so we didn't do too much side questing, which meant that we were so underleveled when we got to the end of the game, which just made everything feel like such a bullet sponge. That did get a little annoying, although I will say that once we got to the final fight, it was actually kind of fun because we were all sort of communicating and just yelling in general at the game, because if all of your party dies, it's like a full party wipe and you have to start the fight anew, whereas as long as one person stays in the fight, other people can run back to it. So we're just like communicating, it's like, oh no, you're the only one left, don't die. So just making sure that we didn't have to face a wipe on the final boss, but it was alright. I feel like it's probably a game that's better either on your own or maybe just like with 2 people at once. Having 4 people and not being able to use your menu and having it interfere with travel just got a little bit annoying, but I'm happy to have wrapped that one up. Another one that I'll talk about just quickly, we didn't actually finish it, we just use it as sort of a little stopgap before we started a new co-op game that's going to be coming out soon. We started playing Prodeus, which I think is only in early access right now, but I don't know, seems fairly complete to me. We played a lot of levels in it. This game is basically original Doom with slightly better graphics. It's built exactly like it. You're fighting demons, you're going through hallways, you're finding keys, you've got the same kind of weapons, and it's good. Like, it's a very simple, satisfying first-person shooter with cool graphics, and yeah, I don't have a ton to say about it. It's just running around, shooting a bunch of bad guys, and occasionally doing a little bit of platforming that's not great, but is okay. But Prodeus seems cool. It's probably one that we'll sort of go to in between longer games, just for a bit of a little palate cleanser. But yeah, if you like those kind of Doom boomer shooters, it seems like a good one. The only other game I completed on my own is called Devotion, and when I say on my own, I mean on stream, being watched by like 50 people, but Devotion is an interesting game. It's by a Taiwanese developer, and almost immediately after getting released, it got pulled off of storefronts because of some little Easter egg that China found offensive, and the game basically disappeared for a long time. Finally, just this past year, the developer Red Door Games, I think Red Candle Games, put it up on their own storefront, so I finally decided to check it out. And as the name suggests, it's about devotion and how people can kind of take it too far. You play a man who's a screenwriter, and he has a family, at least to start with, and it sort of goes through different years of his life, and you're kind of traveling through his apartment through those different years, solving some little inventory puzzles, seeing sort of how things have went for him. It is quite spooky. It did scare me a few times with some jump scares and some like creepy bent neck ladies in hallways, which seemed a little familiar, but they also really changed up the types of scares they were doing. They had a bunch of mannequins, which are super creepy, and it just had a really good tense atmosphere. I thought that was a pretty good spooky horror game if you're looking for one. I know Halloween is today, so the spooky season is almost done, but I definitely think it's worth playing, and it was a nice short one. It was like 2.5 hours, which I feel like is the perfect length for a horror game, because they do tend to overstay their welcome quite a bit. And just one last thing, which I'm sort of retiring, is called Vaporum. And this is a 3D dungeon crawler. I did stream a little of it a while back. It's sort of in the vein of Legend of Grimrock, or going back a number of years, Lands of Lore, which is one of my favorite of this type of game. And you're going through an underground facility, sort of finding audio logs, solving puzzles, fighting monsters, the usual stuff. I was enjoying it for a little while, and then it just all got kind of samey. I think one of the big things is that the environment, I'm probably like 4 or 5 levels in, and it hasn't really changed. Like, you're just in this sort of underground facility made of metal and wood, and it's just, nothing really changes. Every level kind of feels the same. The puzzles just get a little harder, but it started out all right. The combat was interesting. It required like a lot of actual moving around in order to avoid attacks, which was a kind of neat idea. But yeah, it just got a little too repetitive after a while, so I retired that one. And that is it for my updates. Let me know what you were up to in October, if you played anything interesting you want to recommend to me, or if you got any cool new pickups you want to tell me about. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time.